Good evening, Ken.
Okay, thank you everyone and welcome to another Healy for Beginners and Beyond. Today is Thursday, September 23rd. I'm your host for tonight, Jake Barron, Head of Operations for the Americas, and we also have our two amazing co-hosts and tech experts, Freddie Perez and Ken Close. And we've got a full agenda today. So let me real quick, I'm just going to share what we're going to be discussing for today. Just 1 second. Switch over. And here we go. So today we're going to be discussing the usual, as for those of you that are new to this call, we typically go through some similar things. Every day we start, or every week we start with an unboxing of the Healy, just a little bit of how to download the apps and connect to the apps. And then, some weeks we'll talk about a specific app more, whether it's the Healy Pink Dot app. We've been talking a lot the last week or so about the HealAdvisor search app and the HealAdvisor app itself. We're also talked about a couple of weeks ago, we had a segment on the watch. So we're throwing something new. So this week we're going to talk, have a little segment of how to submit a support ticket, because if you're new and have never had an issue with your Healy or never needed to request anything or ask a question, you might not know where to go. And the process has actually changed over the last few months as well. So Freddie's going to kind of walk us through how to do that. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about the coil today. The coil's very easy to use, but we're going to go ahead and just do a little segment on there of little things to look out for when you're using the coil. So I'm going to switch back here, stop sharing. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started with the unboxing. Boom, there it is. The Healy box, and the start of a new future for everybody. So yeah, this is a life-changing box for a lot of us. So it's really, really cool to get this for the first time. I know a lot of people, when they get their own Healy, a lot of times maybe they've used somebody else's, or they've had a demo or something like that. So it's not necessarily brand new, but it's theirs, their own Healy for the first time. So big moment. Yeah, this comes in a shipping box from one of our warehouses. Either we have a warehouse in the Salt Lake City, Utah area, and another one in the Atlanta, Georgia area. So Healy, the majority of orders obviously come with the Healy box itself. And then in there, anytime you order a Healy device, it comes with a separate little bag here that has the wristband electrodes. And we'll kind of show here in a minute the difference here between what else comes in the box and these wristband electrodes. And then for a lot of people, you just have the packing slip. So, and again, this has a lot of important order information on it. You don't necessarily need to keep this, but it's always good to have this box. It doesn't take up a lot of space, and on the bottom of the box, it's perfect size to put the packing slip. And this is a sticker, so just peel off the back there, stick it to your box, and keep the box handy to put it in a drawer or whatever. You can keep all of your accessories in there. Easy to find and reference your order information if you ever need it. But this is also emailed to you as well when you place the order, just in case you do not have this or you lost it or threw it away already. And a lot of days, I'd say, I don't know, probably 50% or more of all of our new orders, also people are ordering the coil with their initial order. Super popular item. It's been hard to keep this in stock because of the popularity. But we are back in stock in the warehouse, and all back orders are cleared, and we've got more shipments on the way from Germany next week as well, and then a big production run following up after that. But so you got your coil for the most part, you've got your Healy box, and the first thing you're going to want to do is take this Healy box, take the shrink wrap off of it, and you'll notice that there's on the outside of the box, other than the plain bottom, there's a serial number and a QR code on the side here, on the long side, and a bunch of information related to the product. And then on one of the short sides, there's also a QR code as well, and the serial number there. And then just if you slide the top off of the box, the first thing you'll see on the top there is a Healy Quick Start Guide. And this is a very short guide. Just got to, takes a minute or two to read through. So just open that. It's got a few key pointers there as far as what comes in the box and, what everything is. And just take that, You can read through it real quick, set it aside, and then underneath that, there's a longer instructions for use document. So you can, again, this just comes off here. And this is, a little bit more detailed for sure, but again, important to read through, especially if you are using a Healy for the first time. Some key information in there about how to use it as well. But underneath is what everyone's looking for when they first get their Healy. And there's the device itself is in a little tray here. There's a little section here cut out for it. And then you have your Healy device right here. And you'll notice that there's a blue color. The main background color is blue on the one here that I just took out of the box. And you see the one that I'm wearing here and using is white in those areas. This isn't a new version of Healy, a new design or anything. This is just a blue protective film that you can just peel right off as soon as you get it. And then other than that, on the back here, you'll notice same thing. There's a QR code as well and the serial number again on the back here. And that's what you'll need to reference when you're setting up your Healy Pink Dot app for the first time. You can scan that code or type in that serial number manually. And there's some other manufacturing information on the back as well. There's a clip that's pre-installed on the Healy. So the default is the clip. There's also a small lanyard attachment, or if you don't want to use the clip, you can put that lanyard attachment on and wear it around your neck. A lot of people like that option too. And then on the front here, there's a power button, which is how you turn it on. And then there's two lights on the front too. There's a green power light. So when you plug it in to charge it, you'll see a green light there. And there's a blue Bluetooth light on the other side, which you'll see when it's connected to the Healy. You'll see that blue light flashing. And then on the bottom part here, you'll see 3 ports. So there's on one side, there's 2 ports here. These are for the connection cables that you're going to use with the adhesive electrodes or the electrode wristbands. And on the opposite side is the charging port. It's a micro USB charging port. And we'll show you here in a minute what exactly to do as far as charging your device for the first time. So we took the Healy out of the box, out of the little tray. So you can just take this tray right off there. And then underneath, you'll see a couple accessories, cables and things. The first thing you're gonna wanna look for is this micro USB charging cable. It's on the side and underneath the box, and it's just tied together with a twist tie. It's a very short cable. No real need to have a long cable in this particular situation. And then you'll see there's, again, one end is a micro USB and the other one's just a standard USB that you can use with any wall charger or charging block. People have tons of these lying around at home, so we don't ship another one with it because there's really no need to in this case. But important thing to look out for, the micro USB, it's a different size on the top than the bottom. So it can only be plugged in one way to your Healy. So you got to be careful when you're first plugging it in, make sure that you have it turned the right direction because it won't go in if it's the wrong way. And you don't want to put too much force in there and potentially ruin or break your brand new Healy. I think I'd start crying if that happened. So don't want to do that. So just be careful and just line it up when you're putting it in there. And it's a snug fit and you'll hear it make a little bit of a snap or click into place once you get it there. And it's very secure. And then just go ahead and plug the other end again into a wall charger, charging block, anything that you have. Definitely prefer a wall charger over a laptop just because typically a lot of laptops don't charge at the same rate and it could take a lot longer. So plug it into a wall charger. And then as soon as you do that, you'll see a green light next to the power button come on. And that's going to stay on for several hours until it's fully charged. And when you'll know it's fully charged when that light goes off. That's when it's ready for you to use for the first time. But it's important to charge it fully. I know when you first get it, a lot of people want to just take it out of the box and turn it on, but you want to make sure that battery is charged properly calibrated from the start. It'll give you better performance as you go with your Healy experience and journey. So plug it in. Takes a couple of hours, but there's lots to do while you're waiting for that Healy to charge. So we'll talk about that here in a second. But as far as the other accessories that are inside the box, I mentioned the small lanyard clip. Again, another reason to keep the box itself, because this is very small and easy to misplace if you just throw away the box. There's on the back of the Healy, there's a metal spring that holds the clip in. If you just get a small watch repair tool, eyeglass tool, you can pop that spring out and replace it with a lanyard clip. If you Google how to do that, there's lots of videos online that kind of show you the step-by-step how to switch from clip to lanyard or lanyard back to clip. It's pretty easy to do, just need the right tool. And then on the other side of the box here, we have 2 connection cables. So these, on one end, is the part that plugs into the Healy. So again, you'll see underneath here, those 2 charging ports, or connection cable ports, not charging ports, on the other side. Again, these charging connection cables just plug right in there. It's a pretty snug fit. Make sure they're all the way in there, or else you're going to have issues when you're using your Healy Pink Dot app. You're going to get a black dot or a black circle when you're running the app instead of white. So if you ever do start it up for the first time and notice that circle isn't, always check this too as one of the troubleshooting steps. Make sure these are fully inserted there. And on the other end, there's a snap. So right there, and you'll notice I'm wearing my Healy right now and using it. So this same connection cables, and then the wristbands that I showed earlier in this bag, these are just, there's a 1 pair inside here. And when you put the wristbands on, you'll want to have either the electrode snap at either the bottom part of the wrist or the top part of the wrist. And again, it's very easy. It snaps right on. You want to make sure that these are snug when you're using them, not too tight that it's cutting off your blood flow, but snug, because that can also affect if you're getting a good connectivity when you're using the Healy Pink Dot app as well. If you're using one of the programs that don't that aren't optimal for using wristbands, there's some of the pain programs where you want to use the electrodes in a specific part of the body, like the lower back or maybe on either side of the knee. And obviously a wristband is not going to work in those situations. So we also included in the box are the 2 pairs of adhesive electrodes, and these are very simple to use. There's 2 per sheet. They're on a little plastic sheet here because they're super sticky, but again, they have a little snap on the opposite side. So if you were to use these, instead of snapping it to the wristbands, you would just snap this to the adhesive electrode itself, and then put that wherever the issue that you are trying to help with on your body. And you'll see on certain programs in the Healy app, it'll kind of show ideas on where to put it, whether it's on the side of the knee, the lower back, upper back as well, or elbow or something like that. But again, these are the adhesive electrodes, the other way that you can use the Healy Pink Dot app. And then, again, you probably took all this stuff out already and you're waiting for your Healy to be charged. What can you do? There's tons of videos. HealyWelcome.com is a site that we have that all of our welcome videos that used to be on a video brochure, we moved that to a web version so we can keep them updated and then make them available in many more languages as well. So it's also much more environmentally friendly than shipping out what most people only use for a single use. So all the videos are HealyWelcome.com. We also have a Healy channel on Vimeo that has a lot of great videos. There's some videos with Marcus on there and some other people from Healy. Definitely check that out. And then there's also tons and tons of content. If you want to deep dive, go to mydevicehelp.com. Takes you to some YouTube videos that Ken Close and Stephen Keller did. And each one, there's a deep dive on the Pink Dot app, deep dive on the HealAdvisor Analyse Blue Dot app, hours long each, but they have little hyperlinks exactly underneath there. If you click more information underneath, you can jump directly to a specific section that you might want information on. So you might see the video and say, oh, it's 3 hours long. I can't watch that. I just need to find one thing. There's a whole table of contents underneath there where you can jump right to the section that you're looking for more information on. So, lots to do while your Healy's charging. The more information that you have, the more videos that you watch, it'll be easier for you when you first get started because you'll have a good idea of how things are supposed to look and little things that come up, different tips. So definitely check all that out. The more information you can learn or read about and watch the videos, the better experience you're going to have going forward. And we'll we'll talk a little bit later about the coil. I'll leave this in the box for now, but we'll get back to that here later on tonight's call. So, Freddie, you want to move us on to the next section?
Absolutely, and most excellent job as always, unboxing and letting everybody know what parts we have to go along with the Healy. So what I'm going to do tonight, folks, is I'm going to share screen, and I'm going to be using my Android, and this is a Note 10. So let me go ahead and get this up on the screen. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to walk through showing you where to find the app, loading the app up on your smart device or your phone in this example, and then move forward. So let's go ahead and get started. On the Androids, you want to go to the Play Store. So you see up here on the right-hand side of the screen, it says Play Store. When you tap that, up at the very top, you see where the little search bar is. So I'm going to tap that search bar. And because I've done this a lot of times loading these apps, they automatically populate. The first one you want to load is the Healy app. That again is the pink dot app. So I'm going to go ahead and tap that one. You'll see it pops up, very top one. And the Healy icon with the little pink dot is right there. So I'm going to go ahead and tap that one. The next step, it's going to ask us to install. Now, if you have some questions about the app itself, you can scroll down. There's additional information you can review there. Let's go ahead and tap install and get that process going. As Jake mentioned, while you're getting your Healy charged up, downloading the app, whether it's just the Healy app, it's the Analyze app, if you have the watch, if you have the HealAdvisor search app, you can go ahead and download all of those so that you're prepared. And then when they're prepared, then you can easily go in and open and activate. As you see, that's downloaded. So now we're going to tap open. And what we are going to do now, we're going to, before we go through these permissions, you'll see here my Healy, I'm going to give it just one good click, and you may see the green light is flashing. I'm going to go, and I always suggest allow everything that it asks you. In this case, while using the app, I'm going to tap. Again, while using the app, this is for the device location. And now you see that it is starting to search. Okay, so once we get to this point, this is a non-disclosure notice. You just tap next. And now it's again starting the search. And let's go through a process to confirm the app. And now we're waiting for this screen. Here is where you're going to type in, or you're going to scan the QR code. SN is serial number, right? Up there where it says SNA. So that is serial number. I'm going to elect to scan it. And all you do is you flip your Healy on the backside to expose those QR codes. And it's best to have your Healy on a flat surface, like on your desk or table, and then just tap that scan QR code. Once you do that, see how quickly it just picked it up? It automatically populated the SN number. Now all we need to do is tap connect to continue the activation process. You'll also notice at this time that your green and your blue lights on your Healy device started to flash. Now at this point, just the blue tooth light is flashing. Here we're waiting for a pop-up that's going to say an update's available, or we can tap settings and we can go to check for updates. And this is what we're waiting for. Updates available, and there's the version. You just tap OK. Now it's going to continue the process to confirm your addition. And now it's going to load the programs right onto the app onto your smart device. Again, in this case, we're using a Samsung 10. When this message is populated here, the update has been successful. You just tap OK. You'll see here now all of the programs on this main menu page are populated. This is a Resonance edition. So you'll see, oops, all of the programs are loaded up here. Boy, these screens are so sensitive, aren't they? I just wanted to show a couple of things here before we move forward. Down at the bottom, you'll see where it says settings. Again, when we open this up, you see at the top where it says turn off sound. That's a toggle. So if you tap it, it's going to turn on sound. Okay. And the same thing, so you can turn it off or on here. Okay. When you see it says turn off sound, okay, that means that the sound is already, and then the sound is going to be a little music that plays at the when the drop down screen comes, and also to deactivate the notification. You can either activate it or deactivate it, enable it or deactivate it. Okay. One of the most important things on this screen about midway down, it says check for updates. So from time to time, if you're getting a new module, or if you've had to do some troubleshooting, you always want to come in here and check for updates. Just tap that. Make sure that your language is chosen properly there, right? Make sure that little button is clicked there. What I call a hamburger is, you'll see on the screen up there in the top left, right? 3 little horizontal bars. When you tap it, it will take you back to the main menu page, okay? What I'm going to do is just open up the gold cycle just to give you an idea. So here is the, or are the 7 programs inside the gold cycle. I'm going to tap balance, and what I call this is just a little soft test. When you tap it open, you'll see that it gives you the name of the program, the time duration, and as Jake was showing you, those little black dots you see on the arms there, those are the locations that you can use either the sticky or your wristband electrodes. And as Jake mentioned, you can use it on the palm up or the palm down side of the hand for both situations. Below that is a little bit more information here, right? And then the start button, okay? Now, if something happened, and let's say I want it pure, but I tapped balance, at the very bottom, you see it says cancel. I can tap that and go choose the right program. But this is the one I want, so I'm going to tap start. Here, the transmission. This transmission is downloading on a temporary basis the frequencies directly to your Healy device. So that's why you'll be able to use the electrodes to get microcurrent benefits, or you can not use the electrodes and still get some other benefits with frequencies. Once this program has completed its transmission, it's going to take us to the next page. While we're waiting for that, I want you to look up in the top right-hand corner. It looks like a little fan or a little Wi-Fi. That is actually a Bluetooth signal indicator. So tonight I have pretty strong. There's 1 dot and 3 bars. You see how it kind of fluctuates? As long as it's not bouncing up and down and off the screen, you have a pretty stable connection. You'll notice to the left of that is a battery life indicator, and mine is at 99%. Below, you'll see the name of the program, balance, the duration again, and where the frequencies are starting, okay? So I don't have electrodes, it's just starting the program. But below that, that big throbbing circle, so that little red dot, it's going to travel around that circle. That's like your timer. And Jake mentioned earlier too about that little black line behind that red dot. If you had your electrodes on, that little black line will go to white, and typically it's going to go to white when you go to the bottom circle. You see where it says 15%? So you can move that up, and somewhere around 25 to 30% is where the current flow is going to allow that black line to go to white, okay? That means we have optimal connection and the frequencies are entering the body. Beautiful, okay? So if we go back to the top circle and we tap that one, it pauses the program. And you'll notice to the left is an X. So I'm going to go ahead and tap that X because we want to leave this program now. So it asks my permission. I just tap OK. You'll see it went back to the menu page for the gold cycle. I always suggest before you get out of the program, go back up there to that hamburger bar. Again, tap it. Go back to the main menu page. Before we leave this main menu page, I want to scroll down to the bottom one more time, and I want to show you the very bottom. It says information. Here you have your software and hardware, some details there. So you can always confirm, especially if you have multiple Healys that you're using. Underneath the hardware, you see the serial number there. So that's where you can confirm your serial number. And underneath that is the firmware. So you'll see there, it's 229. And then the Bluetooth firmware is even underneath that. When you scroll down a little bit, oops, sorry about that. When you scroll down a little bit further, you'll see there's instructions for use. There's a manual that you can download. It can take you to the website. And then at the very bottom under imprint, that's just a few details about the location of the company. Okay, so we're going to tap that hamburger bar again and get back to the main menu page. You'll see again up at the very top is the Bluetooth indicator on the right side, and next to it is the battery life indicator. Okay, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop screen share and turn it back over to you, Jake.
Thank you, Freddie. So I think we're gonna go ahead. We'll just show a little bit about the coil, like I mentioned before, while we were just talking about the Pink Dot app here. So back to the coil, you know, it's a nice, very heavy box, and the coil itself isn't that heavy. So if you'll notice here, actually, that real quick on the side, there's a serial number for the coil here as well. But there's not actually a serial number printed on the coil itself. So, you know, again, you can keep the box for your coil if you want to. The coils aren't specific to your account. So it's not like if I have a coil, I can give it to somebody else and they can use it just fine. It's not, there is a serial number assigned to your account, but it's not that only you can use that particular coil. You can give it to somebody else as well. But there is a serial number here listed, and that would be on your order information as well. But again, take the cover off here, and underneath you'll see the coil, kind of part of the overall Healy design here, but the coil itself is, you know, pretty thin. A nice printed design here, and on the other side you can see the actual coil. You know, there's two coils in here back to back, but you can see the one here on this side, and then you have the two electrode prongs here. So instead of plugging the connection cables, let me take these off real quick just so we can. So instead of plugging the connection cables into the connection cable ports, you just need to line up the coil itself. It slips underneath the clip. So be careful if you're trying to plug this in, it can't go over the clip. It has to go underneath the clip, just like that. It slides in, and then when you're doing this for the first time, definitely make sure that you're lining up those prongs with those two holes, two connection cable ports, and then it just slides in, and make sure you fully insert it. So like I have it in here right now, but it's not fully in. So you want to make sure mine makes a little bit of a clicking noise when it's fully in there. You want to make sure that it's fully inserted in there, not only for the better performance, but also so it doesn't fall out if you're using it later. And then also one thing to keep in mind, once you have the coil on here, you know, the clip itself is fairly tight. And then when you put the coil underneath here, there's not a lot of give in the clip itself. So if you're putting the coil in there and then clipping it to your shirt, you really need to be careful when you're putting it on there that you don't stretch this too far, possibly break the clip. You know, we can replace the clips. That's not the issue, but we don't want you to have to be without the clip and have to wait for one to be shipped out. So just be careful when you're doing that. Especially if you're wearing like a thick shirt, like a t-shirt, it's pretty easy still. But if you're wearing a polo shirt or a sweater or something like that, it's going to be really difficult to try to get that actually clipped on. So just keep that in mind when you are using it. So again, it's very simple to use. You plug it right in. There's nothing to turn on or off. You know, there's nothing to charge. So it's one of our most easy accessories, I would say, to use. There's no Bluetooth connection required to get the coil to pair to the device. So it's simple overall. But I'm going to go ahead and share my phone screen here. Let me go back to Zoom. Okay.
Jake, I just wanted to piggyback on that about the coil. What we found, a lot of folks that are using the coil more consistently, they definitely prefer to go ahead and get the use the lanyard. Makes it very convenient.
Okay, so we're back in the Healy Pink Dot app. Let me go back to the front here. So you'll notice here, at the front, okay, you get your coil, you plug it in, you're ready to go. What programs can I use it with? So most of the programs is the answer here. So if you go through your programs, and just go to Gold Cycle, the three little circles to the top right of each program name, if the three little circles are there, it means you can use that with the coil itself. If you're going through the list, you'll notice the pain programs cannot be. Those need the actual microcurrents. So that's the reason that you can't use the coil. You actually need that physical connection to your body for those programs. And then you'll see some of the acute ones as well. You notice there's two different concentration programs, concentration acute. You cannot use the coil. Exam acute, cannot use the coil. Same thing all throughout here. But again, the majority of the programs you can use the coil, which is great because, you know, for me, I use both. I use the wristbands throughout the day, but I also use the coil each day as well. Because you're limited to around 3 or so programs per day you want to use with the microcurrents using the adhesive electrodes or the wristbands. With the coil, you can use a lot more. So, and then again, also it depends on what you're doing. If you're going to be very mobile and moving around, or you might not want to wear the cables because it could get in the way or get caught. The coil is a perfect time to use you can continue to use your Healy when you're sort of on the go. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's been so popular. But back to, let's just go to pick one of these programs here. We'll just run, let's see, Balance. Again, one of the programs that can be used with the coil. We'll start it up here real quick.
You know, I might add too, Jake, so that the icon that you guys see at the top right of the particular program, that little three circle icon, it signifies that particular program is optimized for IMF utilization or individual microcurrent frequency utilization and the use of the coil. So any of the programs that run microcurrent, either one of these pink dot programs, even the pain, you know, they will transmit a magnetic signal out of the coil, but they're not optimized. So that's the difference. The optimization means that it's going to more efficiently work with the body. So that's what that little icon is going to tell you, that it is an IMF optimized program.
Perfect. No, that's great. Definitely good information to add on there. Appreciate that. And also, we get a lot of questions. Where can I get more information on the coil? You know, what's the difference between using the coil versus the wristbands? You know, there is a 2-page flyer in your back office in the download section. It kind of explains the technology behind the coil and some of the history there as well. So if you haven't logged into your back office, just do that. Check the download section, look for the coil flyer right there on the front page, and definitely a good resource to have there. But you'll see here, I started up the Balance program. I have the coil plugged in right now. And typically the line will be white at 15% with the coil. Some people say it may have to go a little bit higher, 20, 25, even 30% for it to turn white. But as long as that line does turn white, you'll know that you're good to go. And I'm just gonna unplug my coil here real quick just to show you. You see the line turned to black, and the coil has been removed from my Healy. And then again, you got to be careful to fully plug it in, because if you just have it touching or not fully inserted, you might not get that proper connection there. So again, there's a lot of questions also. What percent should I run the coil? You know, typically I think the overall recommendation is somewhere in the 65 to 100% range. I typically run mine at 100%, but I think this is one of those situations also where it's kind of up to the individual, because I know, you know, some people run the Healy Pink Dot app with wristband electrodes at 100%, and they, you know, they still can't feel anything. You know, the line might be white, which is fine, but other people at 15% might have too much sensation, or it's uncomfortable or something like that. So, and you know, we've demoed a lot of these coils at our Healy road shows, and it varies quite a bit. You know, some people, when they first use the coil and put it on, they can feel the sensation, and you know, it really varies. So I think it's really up to as long as you're using the coil and that line is white, feel free to turn it up as high as you want. But just know, you know, if there's anything unusual for you, it's up to you. You know, there's no set number that it has to actually be at for each one of these particular programs. So, Ken, anything you want to add to that? I wasn't.
Yeah, thanks. That's good. Now you can also, if you'll notice there, so balance is running at the frequency 716 or now 515.3. The lower frequencies below, say 10,000 hertz, are probably going to be pretty easy for the coil to emit. And so lower power can be used. Now, if you drop that power down to say 5%, just use the minus key, just drop it down to 10, 5, and then wait for a second and see if it actually goes to the black. So it may not. No, it's not. Okay. So, so even at that lower intensity, you're seeing that the coil or the Healy is sensing a proper conduction, but some of the higher frequencies may not. So this is again why you would want to run it up there beyond 65%. You can run it at 100%. The only difference between say running at 20% or 100% is that it's going to draw more power from the Healy's battery. So it does take a little more life of the battery as you're running it at the higher percentages, but you can run it at 100%. And how far? I mean, we're looking at the coil. So there's questions I've heard people ask. In fact, I think there's something in the chat about, well, do I need to have it on my body? Can I have it on my nightstand? You know, where does the coil need to be when I'm using these programs optimally? And again, when we want to be as 100% efficient, we'll want the Healy to be on our body. And remember, the transmission or the emission of the magnetic energy goes upward and downward, or I should say out the front and out the back in that direction, but it's still going omnidirectionally. So it's going everywhere, and it's going to be penetrating the body in its closest proximity. So let's say you're running balance. And in fact, it's funny because I'm actually running balance on my gold cycle exactly right now. And I'm also running balance through the microcurrent in my body, but I'm running regeneration through the coil. So I'm actually doing a twofer, right? So I'm working on regenerating my body and balancing. I was out digging post holes all day today. So I'm like, my body's needing a little bit of balancing. And so sometimes when we're doing those activities, now we can use the coil and the electrodes to kind of do a twofer. And the balance, that particular program's purpose is to balance the body. So if you're finding areas of your body that you may feel discomfort, or even if it's emotional, you can use the different energy centers of the body or the chakras of the body to put the coil in its proximity and emit those magnetic energies into those energy centers of the body, or chakras, if you're familiar with that. So, so placement is important. The closer it is to you, the more intensity, the magnetic field you're going to be involved in. But yes, you can put it on your nightstand, because that magnetic energy is going out omnidirectionally through the entire universe. And understand that as the butterfly effect moves, the butterfly's wings moving air in one region of the planet influences airflow on other regions of the planet, so does this magnetic energy influence universally or globally. Okay, so you just know that your maximum intensity is closest to the Healy, but it's going to go everywhere.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think it's important to note that the coil itself is not a replacement for the electrodes. It's a complement to the whole thing here. So, you know, it's not that you get your coil and then you never use the electrodes again. You know, it's meant to be used together. So it's just a convenient way to do it, and operates a little bit differently. So
absolutely. And Marcus even talks about that the microcurrent is the microcurrent. You're really not going to replace that, because that's addressing the physical aspects of the body, the actual cell structures within the body. And that's what the microcurrent is designed for. And it's a carrier wave for the frequencies. The coil is designed to be another way of getting around certain limitations of the body. If a body has, say, a pacemaker or other things that negate the use of microcurrent, then the coil can be an accent, but it's not really so much a replacement. he recommends
Hey,
you
Ken,
use.
while you're sharing that, I'm going to show an image that Marcus had shared when we first launched the coil. So let me pull it up. It might go along with what you're kind of saying here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I know the image you're going to show, because it does talk about the interlacing of the different frequency levels. Exactly. So this is a great representation to show you the molecular body, and then the difference between the information body. So the information body being in the information field, or the global field, that's up in the information field. And so you can kind of see where the coil, the green arrow that goes up and down, you can see how that green arrow bridges both the information or the bioenergetic field and the electromagnetic or material body. This is a really good representation to show you how the cables or the microcurrent, and then all the way over to the blue dot or the resonance, and how it works within the information field. This is a great representation. You see how that works? You can kind of see the bridging and the overlap. There's a certain spot in which actually all three overlap right there in the bioenergetic field of the body.
Yeah, great.
Awesome.
All right. So again, that was a little bit about the coil. I think it's good because, you know, a lot of people have it and just never thought about how it works or anything like that. But it's great though too, because it's so easy to use. So you don't necessarily need to ask a lot of questions, but it's always good to have a little bit more information as far as how everything's working and little tips like that. So Freddie, do you want to move on and show us maybe how we can submit a support ticket?
Absolutely. Excellent job. Ken, I was going to say on the coil too, the question is asked constantly about, when I'm wearing the coil, how many people can be affected? How close? Does it affect animals? Can you just address that real quick while I'm starting the screen share?
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, so think about this for a moment. I said this about the butterfly effect. A butterfly flapping its wings. Now think about it. This is a butterfly. You know, it's very small. Flapping its wings in one place of the entire planet is affecting or influencing airflow in other places. Why? Because the planet itself is a closed loop system. Air is universal within that closed loop system. So there is a influence. To what degree? It's very small if it's the other side of the planet. It's bigger if it's right next to the butterfly. So same thing here. As you use your coil, the influence of the coil and the magnetic energy is very big within the proximity of your body. And it's very small on the other side of the planet, but yet still influential. So within the proximity of you, if you've got your child sitting on your lap or your baby in your arms or your pet, it's going to be influencing them. If you have relatives in another state, it's going to be influencing them. Again, to what degree? More so in your proximity, less so in the other state. Hopefully that makes sense.
Thank you, Ken. That's a great explanation. All right, folks. Well, I'm excited to show this is the first time we've actually gone through a little step-by-step on submitting a new case. So the first thing that you'll want to do is you'll want to go to us.healy.shop. And then you're going to go to login. So over here, it's going to ask for your credentials, where you can take and have your email or your username, and then your password. Okay, so once you have those populated, you simply click the login button. And then it's going to take us to this next screen here, where now we get to choose. Over here on this left side under my account, these are all clickable links. You'll see support center is here. And then we also have support up here. Either location, you want to click on support center. It's now going to open up so that we can create a new case. So you'll see here on the right hand side, it says submit a new case. So we're going to start there. Okay, so you click here. And once it moves to the next screen, the first thing it's going to ask is for you to choose a topic. When you go over here to this right hand side, the little downward arrow, you click on it, And here are your topic choices. Tonight, we're going to do products. And then you'll notice right to the right, this is a subcategory. It's asking us to choose. Take the same step. Go to the little downward arrow, tap it, and here are all the subtopics. Tonight, we're going to choose the Healy hardware. You'll notice that the little FAQ drops down, a little added support tip there for you. And then the username is going to be populated. Right here, it's not a question, but it's just asking if you're having really some kind of irritation, for example, using, say, the bracelets, you'd want to check this box. If that doesn't apply, leave it blank. Here, it's going to ask you to type in the serial number. Again, as Jake showed us earlier, that's located on the back of your Healy. It's also on your box. It starts with the 01. Once you have that number typed in, right, then you go to the next step, order number. So here, if this was a new device or a new product and you had an order number, you could populate it here and it'll populate. Otherwise, just leave that blank. Next is going to be the subject of my request or a question. Okay. Tonight, we're going to just type in battery is going to be the subject. And in the description, here's where we get to populate some information. So I'm going to go ahead and give a little information about my issue. So again, if we just read this together, after months of using and charging with no problems, the green light on my Healy does not go out after being plugged into the charger for over 4 hours. Why is this happening and how do I fix it? Okay, so that's what we're going to give the tech to look at to help us with a suggestion for a solution. Okay, you'll want to go down to the next section, make sure that you have your appropriate language box checked. And then underneath here, here's where we can add a JPEG, a PNG file, or a PDF, okay, up to 10 megabytes. And I also suggest that you, in this kind of issue specifically, you'll want to take a picture of the back of the Healy. Take a picture with your phone, download it to your PC, for example, save that file. So I've done that. I'm going to open up the file. You'll see up here, I call it the back of my Healy, right? So when I double click on that, you'll see that photo has now been populated and you would hit submit, okay? Then you're going to get a case number generated, and then there's going to be a response coming back from the tech support or the customer support. We're going to go back over here now. And now we're going to go back to the support center. So you would log back in here, okay? And you'll see that a case number was created. You'll see that the subject is battery. You'll see it's an open case here. And you'll see here it was 14 hours ago that it was last updated, okay? So let's go take a look at that update. You just simply click on the case number, and now it's going to open up the screen. Now, there's a couple of important things I want you to notice here. If your issues are resolved, you have the opportunity to close out that ticket here. In other words, if you fix it yourself, right, you could simply put in a message, and I'm always going to suggest, regardless if it's fixed prior to or you have instructions, whatever the results are, you want to update this ticket. You want to let the tech support know that it worked, it didn't work, and that's where you're going to put this information right in this little box right here, right in this little box, okay? So once you put that information in as far as the results, you'll click comment. So comment is like reply. If they're asking you for some other information that needs to be downloaded, again, you can download it and choose the file, PDF, PNG, or JPEG, and upload it here. But let's take a look at the response, okay? So this is just an indicator that the email came. Now I want you to notice here, this pale blue color, this is the response that came back from the tech. And they're kind enough to go ahead and put their name up here for us, and it's time and date stamped as well. So regarding this battery issue, they've given us some instructions right here, okay? And so after I've taken their suggestions and I've tried them, again, it worked, it didn't work, that's where you'd come in and update right here to the same ticket, okay? That's where you put your update information. when I scroll down here, now I can see here is the time and date stamp when I submitted the ticket, right? Same subject matter, it's all right here, okay? So now, once again, I've used their suggestion, it corrected my battery issue. I simply come up here, type in issue resolved, thanks for your help and support, and click comment. If you need or have a need for a different subject that you need some help or suggestion with, let's say like a clip breaking off, right? Putting that coil on there, accidentally broke that clip off. Well, you would submit a new case. So don't take this and add information about the broken clip, right? This is specific to a battery issue, and we want your clip to be separate as well. So that's where you would submit a new case for that.
I love
So
that.
that's all I want.
That follow-up that you're talking about, Freddie. I'm telling you, as a technician or someone who's working on solving a case, that follow-up or that information that has been solved, that comment in the back coming back to you, that's so valuable because so often we don't hear anything back, right? We just like, somebody's got their problem fixed. Okay, goodbye. It's nice to have a little follow-up to say thank you or it worked.
Well, and then also when you look here, see these instructions, right? They've got them numbered. Number one, you're going to start here, right? And go through each one of these steps. Even if you may have attempted or actually performed some of these troubleshooting, go ahead and do it again, right? I mean, these technicians have spent a lot of time, a lot of hours going through to try to put some tips together here, suggestions, instructions that will help you to resolve your issue. Okay, that's what their job is to do, is to help make this a very pleasant experience, but also to help resolve the issue.
And the sequence is key. Sometimes we may have done the things that are in the list, however, in different orders. And that sequence makes a difference. I mean, I'm an engineer and there's a process and we may do the same things, but in a different process, and we'll get a different result. So it is key to follow this, why they're numbered 1, 2, 3. It's important to do them in that sequence.
And regarding the, we were talking a little bit earlier about the charging, or when Jake was talking about plugging it in, you'll see right here too, it's letting us know all you need is a current of at least 100 milliamps, right? To charge that Healy device, right? So again, read this thoroughly, take it step by step. And thank you so much for that input too, Ken, because they're the unsung heroes in the background trying to keep everything moving forward, especially with all the updates that keep going on with the Apples and the Androids. Those operating systems keep giving us challenges, but we're working through them. They're doing an excellent job. That's all I have to share. So I'm going to go ahead and stop screen share and turn it back over to you, Jake.
Perfect. Thank you, Freddie. And I can't believe it's been almost an hour already. So, you know, we next on our agenda for today, we're gonna talk a little bit about the HealAdvisor Analyse Blue Dot app. So I don't know, can we fit in a little bit on that in the next 6 minutes, or what do you guys think? Good.
Yeah, Freddie, you're muted, Freddie.
Yeah, so I was saying that's an excellent idea, and I'm just going to review in the chat and see if we have any other questions we might be able to answer tonight as well.
Okay.
There is one there, Freddie, that maybe you can address. Karen was on her phone, not able to see what she was listening in on her phone, not able to see what you were talking about as to how to follow up or how to comment on a ticket. And she has a ticket that's quite old. So there's one in there you maybe can help her with.
Oh, yeah. Karen, I sent you a message here in the chat, a direct message to send me the ticket number that you were asking about. So please forward that to me and I'll take a look. So
awesome. So when it comes to the Blue Dot app or the HealAdvisor app, that's a very extensive and it's a bigger unpacking, I guess you may say, and it's an extremely useful tool. So yeah, I think that would be a great focus for next week. And we can definitely open that up and go as deep as we want to go. Just understand that is another modality. And you saw that picture that Jake shared, another modality that works with the information field, that it has intention as its number one useful tool. And we do too, as people. When we have an intention in our mind, it'll show up in the physical world. And this is exactly how the blue dot works, is through intention and in a very elaborate AI system. So yeah, I'm excited to go over that one.
Okay, yeah, let's do that next week. You know, we spent a lot of time this week on the Pink Dot app and the coil and everything. So maybe we'll skip that segment. We'll do a heavy focus next time on the Analyze app. So maybe just to end this call here, if there's any questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. We can do a little bit of a Q&A here. And also, one thing that I just discovered today when I was helping somebody, they were having trouble or updating their passwords. So I know a lot of people have changed passwords from time to time for either for security reasons or whatnot. And they were doing it in the shop itself in the account details section, and it wasn't working. And so I was on a Zoom call with somebody earlier today, and a lot of times, one of the tips we have here to get the passwords to sync is to not necessarily change the password, but if you're having password issues, to just enter the same password in all three fields. So current password, new password, confirm new password, save. But it wasn't working until they actually saved and then logged out of the shop, which helped sync everything over to the system. And they were then able to log into back office with this new password. So that's just one tip that kind of came up today. And then also, there's been a handful, very few, but some people that have had some issues with some of their subscriptions within the Healy Pink Dot app itself. So some people have got the error message where it says, they say they have the digital nutrition before the apps, the programs are grayed out, and they're getting a message saying time account expired. So that's popped up a few times, and we were able to solve that today by the person deleting the app and reinstalling the app and then logging back in, checking for updates, and everything was back to normal there as well. So there's just a couple little tips that came up today, and we were able to resolve some issues. So
Yeah, and I want to
go ahead, Freddie.
Ken, I'm sorry. Okay, so I just wanted to mention too, on your smart devices, especially with your Apples, now the iOS is at 15, and I helped someone just today that was still at a 14.7. They were having some of the issues that we're talking about. So we couldn't troubleshoot because we couldn't get certain things done. I told them, go ahead, do that update, book another appointment. They were able to do it same time or the same day. They came back, we went through the process, and everything started working flawlessly. Okay. So there's a lot of things that you have to keep in mind, because our apps are pretty finicky when it comes to certain aspects of using them. And we're asking it to do multiple tasks. One is to connect with a smart device. So you have your Healy, your smart device, they have to work and talk together so that they can do what we all want, is to reach into the cloud, grab the frequencies and bring them down so that we can actually benefit from them.
Absolutely. That's I always say there's the big three issues: connection, connection, connection. That's it. I'd like to remind everybody. So Healy for Beginners and Beyond, was created. Jake has created that as an unboxing, as a basic beginner type training. So we want to make sure that, again, that's the purpose here. There is a Tech Tip Tuesday where we dive into technical questions and unpack that. We don't talk about unboxing. We talk about unpacking issues, and we get deeper into the technical side. So please visit us there at Tech Tip Tuesday. The same folks are here. I host that one. Jake is there, Freddie's there, and we have a customer service agent in the background. So these two platforms have different purposes, and we want to make sure that we invite the right people, and then the ones who have deeper questions attend the right call. So that's kind of our message. I want to make sure that we're using the tools properly. You don't use a hammer to try to turn a bolt, right? So we have different reasons for these calls. So thanks, guys.
Perfect. There one question, I think it was one of the first questions from Sheila. 2 Healys, been in the box. Does it matter which one? Well, fortunately, it's family, right? So, and if they're both, let's just assume residence editions, it's not going to matter, right? I mean, you're going to go through the same steps and process. Again, the end goal is for both of you to be able to activate your devices for usage.
Yep, Freddie, I was helping Sheila in the private chat here, got her the correct serial numbers just to confirm
Oh, there you
it's her
go.
order. So got that taken care of. There's a question here from Mary related to the well-being programs. Will they show up on both the Pink Dot and Blue Dot app? And the answer is yes. So on the HealAdvisor Analyse Blue Dot app, that's already available for everybody. It's part of the new database. So if you haven't logged into your Analyze app recently, when you log in, it should be there. If not, you can do a full sync, and those programs will be part of the database. We're still not quite through getting the well-being programs to everybody on their Pink Dot apps, but that should be completed here in the next week or two as well. So they will be on both.
Lynn asked a question. Why has my yellow, I'm assuming that's the green power light, gone off and the blue light still stays on? It depends on what part of the process that you're either downloading a program or running a program. Okay, so it's a good question, but again, it's one of those where you're actually using the device, just like in the beginning when I was sharing with you, activating the app, right? So the green light was flashing initially. Then when it was going through the process of that confirmation of my programs, both the blue and the green lights were flashing on my Healy device. Once it came into play, then the blue light went off and it was just the green light. That meant it was on and active, ready for me to choose the program. Okay.
Yeah, the green light, guys, it's if you'll notice, there's two rates of flash. Okay, there's a 1 flash per second and a 2 flash per second. Both indicate data transfer. There's data transfer. What do I mean by data? Well, the Healy is speaking to the app, and the app is replying back to the Healy. Now, even if the app is off, the Healy is still speaking to the app. It's still speaking into the app, whether the app is on or off. But the Healy still needs to transmit, and that's going to be the green light flashing at a 1 flash per second rate. Now, when that's because it's running a program. When the and the blue light is flashing at the same time if the app is open. There's some variables here. So at the end of the program, if the program is done, but the app is still open, okay, so that means the blue light is still flashing because there's a connection via Bluetooth between the app and the Healy hardware, but there's no data transfer, meaning the green light's going to stop flashing. Okay, it's still connected. It's actually still on. It's still in trend. It's in standby mode, but it's still connected to the app. So the moment you go to the app and you say, I want to start a new program, and you choose it and you connect, you'll see the Healy green light pop on and start flashing very quickly as it's transmitting that data back to the Healy. So these lights flashing kind of give you some status information. But there's variables based on if the app is on or off, and if the Healy is sending information or receiving information. Okay, so pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
I think we could have a whole instructional manual on just the lights.
We could.
Yeah. No, this is great. Another excellent call. Thank you everyone for joining us. And if this call has been helpful for you, please spread the word. We get a certain number of people on this call live, but we get hundreds of people that watch the recording. So the recordings are posted on the Team Healy USA group in Telegram. So definitely check that out. I know a lot of times it's easier for people to watch it at a certain different time of the day or at their convenience. So, but these calls are important, and we're trying to get as much information to everybody as possible to improve the overall Healy experience. So thank you, everyone. I'm going to stop the recording. Oh, yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah. Before you let everybody go, we have, when we're done here, you're going to see on your screen pop up a survey. And we ask that you please participate with the survey. Again, that helps us to develop the subject matter we want to bring to everyone based on the responses that you give us. So again, take a few minutes and take the survey for us.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder. Appreciate that. So let me stop the recording. Thank you, everyone.